Today we're joined by Diane Budd, practicing animal communicator and healer. She'll be chatting to us about physical touch in the time of COVID-19 between animals and humans. Welcome to The Loft, Diane.
Thank you very much.
Diane, we love our furry family members, and so much emphasis, though, has been placed on our own mental health during this time that we've often forgotten about our animals. So how important is it for humans to think about the mental health of our pets?
Well, it's extremely important. What a lot of people don't realize is that animals have just as much emotions as we do. So they love unconditionally, they grieve, they laugh, they cry, they make jokes. So everything that we feel, our animals can feel as well. And sometimes we don't realize how we get wrapped up in our everyday lives that it can have an effect on our animals. And when you typically know that something is up with your animal, you'll probably find that there'll be a behavioral change. So they might all of a sudden stop eating, or they might distance themselves from the family. So for instance, they might, if there's normally a cuddly dog that sits on your lap, and all of a sudden they're withdrawing themselves and they're sitting in the corner, or they're choosing to leave the room, that tells us something's going on. And then normally what we do is we say, has anything changed in the household, or what is going on with me, and how can I help my animal?
Now, girl, you speak to animals all day, day. So I want to find out from you, how have animals been able to cope with COVID?
Well, for me, it depends on the species. I generally find that dogs have loved lockdowns simply because we're lucky that we've gone into winter, that it's a more cozy time. They get love, they get attention, they get food. And so, yes, the dogs in general have enjoyed it. What they haven't enjoyed is the anxiety being experienced by our humans. Cats in the beginning loved it. And then after a while, because they are far more independent creatures, they started distancing themselves. So you would find that they a little bit irritated, and then they'd leave their family home and stay out a little bit longer than normal.
Diane, what advice would you suggest for people returning to work as lockdown eases that they can help their animals with?
I would advise them to play more, to stimulate their animals, to reassure them that this has been more like a holiday and that it's time to go back to work. And when you leave home, tell them what time you'll be back. Say to them, you'll be back, if you're only popping out to the shops, that you'll be back at 4 o'clock, so that they know, or they have a specific time when to expect you. Animals can tell time. They can tell 5:05 from 5:10. And that makes a big difference in their lives. And then especially with dogs, try give them something to chew on before you leave so that they don't feel the time lapse as much. You know, the day goes a lot quicker if you've got something nice to chew on.
It seems like people's pet puppies and myself have a lot in common. As soon as I'm chewing on something, time definitely does fly by. But it's so interesting that you say this because, you know, here at work, we always speak about our families and our pets, and we're a family unit. And one of our members here at work was saying that their roommate has a dog that loved lockdown because of that attention and that care that you spoke about. But as soon as the owner had to go back to work, they found the puppy sulking, they found the puppy depressed, and they had to find YouTube videos as to how to lighten up the puppy's life and bring back and bounce back that life into them. So we are seeing what you're talking about.
You know, I'd say I've never yet, in all the years that I've been practicing, there's never been more animals on things like Prozac before, and Prozac's an antidepressant. Simply because of the state of anxiety and the depression that is out there. So there's severe anxiety and severe depression. So it really is key that you keep a lookout for certain behavioral changes that must happen.
What have some of the most common responses that you've received about this period of lockdown and COVID?
So dogs were they loved it at first, but then they realized that they weren't walked, especially if you had a dog that was walked every day. So there was a lot of frustration in terms of why is everybody inside and why is everybody not leaving to go outside. So you would find that some of them would start pacing. Then we had also overeating, where animals were eating too much because we were eating too much. But then in some ways that was a good thing because we got to sharing our food a lot more. One of the things that they didn't like is being separated from their friends. So if they went to doggy daycare, but I really miss my friends, and they'd describe who the friends were. Another thing that I've also found out, also realized through conversations with them, is that owners have noticed that their animals are battling with certain physical ailments that they didn't notice before. So, for instance, they've got the time and the attention now to pay attention to their pets. So they'll notice that their animal is walking with stiffness, and maybe it's time to get a mineral supplement to help that.
Now, I have to find out from you, physical touch is something that we're lacking as humans right now because of the social distancing restrictions. So then how powerful is physical touch between humans and animals?
Well, it's essential. You know, sometimes we don't always have to touch an animal. We can just sense intuitively how that animal is feeling, or but for us, it's quite a human thing to want to touch. And for domesticated animals in particular, they like being touched and they like being stroked. And that's an outlet. It's proven to be a stress reliever, that when you stroke your animal, you feel a lot better. And that is why we've got a lot of therapy animals going into old age homes and places like that. So because of the therapeutic touch that it gives to humans, and also the peace and quiet that comes with it.
So Diane, lastly, do you have any positive feedback about COVID and animals?
Yes, it's been quite interesting. Our vets have never been as busy as they have been during lockdown, and any vet that you'll speak to will say that. The number of animals that have been fostered out and adopted has been phenomenal. And I think that is something really that a lot of people should take credit for, and well done to everybody for uniting and taking care of our animals.
And thank you, Diane, for not only joining us here on Afternoon Express, but for healing and communicating to our furry loved ones, because sometimes we can be a bit self-absorbed, forgetting about the other furry members of our family. So thank you for the reminder, and thank you for spreading that love.
Pleasure.
Now on social media, I want to find out from you, have you picked up any change in behavior when it comes to your pets and COVID-19? We would love to hear more. Remember to use that hashtag Afternoon Express.